I eat everything. Grandpa said if you wouldn't eat it, don't sell it.
I love the argetta. I love our cottage ham, the smoked sausage. I love a ribeye steak. And people can have prime rib if they want. I'll take a good chuck roast over a prime rib any day.
It's our mission. We strive to put out a good product at a competitive price. And that's what's kept us going all these years. When I was in grade school, I used to get off the school bus and stock shelves in the grocery store we had. But then as I got older, I was given more responsibilities and bigger jobs. Wound up working over here in the plant. By the time I was 14, I could skin a beef all by myself with no help from the beginning to the end.
I worked everywhere here. I worked the till floor, the cutting room, store, retail. I even made it into the office now and then.
I've been here since 1972 full-time, but like the other ones, I grew up working here. We did the grocery shelves. When the groceries would come, we put the prices on things, stocked the shelf. That was a beautiful day. I mean, I'd love to come work with Dad that day to do that.
So I'd come back from lunch with my dad and I'd work for my grandma, helping clean shelves, stock shelves, and whatever a 5-year-old could do, which isn't much. But I always remembered that because when we were done, Grandma would give me a quarter, a bottle of pop, and a candy bar. And shoot, you were rich. I always say that it was quite an honor to be able to work with your dad and your grandfather and your grandmother. A lot of people don't have that, have never had that experience whatsoever. So I always look back on that with, really, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, oh, definitely a lot of pride, yes. I mean, we had our 100th year anniversary. The one, John will cover that. The one guy talked about family businesses, how long they last. This is very unusual for this.
Getting to work with your dad, getting to work with your grandpa and grandma, learning to trade from them, seeing what they did. And it got easier over the years for all of us because of the equipment and different things, but just learning what they did.
Butch was working for Bill Espel, who was right up here at the corner of Struble and Colerain. Bill did it all. He bought cattle, he sold cattle. He also had a truck or a wagon, horse and wagon that he sold meat out of the back end of it. I know that Butch was one of his drovers. He took a herd of cattle from up here and drove them, walked them down to the stockyards downtown. But when the flood of 13 came, the stockyards were flooded out. I think Butch said to Bill, I'd like to buy a few of your cattle and slaughter them myself and sell them around. And that's how he got his start. And at some point in time, he bought that end of Bill's business out from him. And we've got the invoice over in the store of what he paid Bill for the horse wagon, cutlery, but it was only $600 or $800. So that's how he got his start. However, World War I came along and he went off to France and he fought. He came back with a severe case of trench foot, which means he almost lost his leg. He's on crutches when he first came back. And then it wasn't long after that, I guess he knew my grandmother before he left for the war, and they got married and they started the business all over again. So that's where it all came about.
With a brother and 2 cousins out here, there was a lot of games going out here too. We would stick water buckets on top of door frames just so somebody walked through, and one day Butch walked through. That was Grandpa. You never call him Grandpa. Make me feel like I'm 100 years old, call me Butch. Well, bucket will come down and Butch, and that thing go over real good.
It was at our festival at St. John's Dry Ridge. I was 14 years old when I called him Grandpa in front of a whole bunch of different people. And he walked over to me and he says, hey, and I don't know whether he was real serious or if this was part of his shtick, but he said, hey, he says, don't ever call me Grandpa in front of all these people. He says, from now on, you call me Butch.
He was kind of hard to work with. I mean, one day I'm sitting back here eating lunch, and he came back and he says, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm eating my lunch. I don't see anything. I said, well, I already ate it. Well, what are you doing then? I said, just sitting here waiting for my hour to end. And he said, just because you get an hour don't mean you got to take it.
I remember one day I was in high school and I only had a few hours out here, and we had to paint a room back here. And so I thought, I'm not going to get all this stuff out. I started painting at the bottom of the room, and oh, he came in the room. God, he was, he chewed me out. You don't start at the bottom, start at the top, work down.
And the point of the matter is, you could get along with Butch as long as you did it his way. His way wasn't always the right way, but his way was the right way. And he had another thing he'd say, don't listen to what I say, look where I point. Now, how are you supposed to do that,
We lived in North College Hill, so we took a drive out Galbraith Road to Colerain, and it was a 2-lane highway, and we didn't see a whole lot. But it was a long way out here until we got to Springdale Road to see the Marathon gas station, Beavis Gardens, the Ridge Tavern. Dad liked all those places. It was probably somewhere in the early 60s. I'm not really sure when they developed Colerain, made it a 2-lane highway. Things got bigger. Northgate Mall came along in the 70s, I suppose it was. I remember when they were putting beams on the mall, they had this big, huge Huey helicopter or something lowering the beams in place and stuff. I remember hearing all that from up here.
And when the holidays hit like Christmas and New Year's, you could hardly get up and down Colerain Pike. But no, that was a big deal because, well, other than that, you used to have to go to Mount Healthy or North College Hill.
Then they built 275. That was a story from my grandpa. I mean, 275 was supposed to come right through here. And he fought tooth and nail to get that bend in the highway. He had some important people he knew that, he finally won and got the bend in the 275 there.
They could have closed it up years ago, and we wanted to keep it going because we liked what we were doing, and it was an income for our families. And I think we enjoyed what we're doing and getting over there with the customers.
Back at our 100-year anniversary, we had an accountant friend of ours. He said to me, John, do you know how rare it is for a family business to make it through 3 generations? I said, no, but I bet you're going to tell me. He says the percentage is 0.000 something that a business makes it through its 3rd generation. He says, the first generation starts the business, the 2nd generation takes it to the next level, and the 3rd generation pees it away. I said, well, Tom, I'm proud to say that at that time we were running it for our 12th year, and I think we were doing a really good job if we were holding our 100-year anniversary.